And we are live. All right. Now, welcome back. Before I get started with the stream, I probably have to address this real quick. I probably should have mentioned this beforehand. Oh, you guys can talk now.
Oh, okay. What's up?
So, this is actually my second stream this year
Oh, okay. Right on.
because my first stream, well, I got a strike on my channel from my first stream.
Oh, okay.
I think it was something about memes, wasn't it? That caused that.
No, it wasn't. So I saw a video. It was a kind of a boring stream. I kind of rambled the second half of it, so I didn't really have much people watching it, and I didn't like get prepared. I think I had one thing I wanted to go over.
Mm-hmm.
What happened was I decided to just go through Twitter to find things, and there was a video of a kid beating the shit out of his teacher because she took his Switch away.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that whole.
Okay, that one.
Yeah, and then I went to bed. I finished the stream. I wake up, and then YouTube's like, "Oh, you got a strike on your channel."
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, god damn it! I don't think YouTubers like whoever the fuck their moderators were watching my videos.
It could have been automated. I mean, that's the sort of thing that they do too. So
it's like a hashing system, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because a friend of mine in real life, he was at work and trying to watch my stream, and he said, "Oh, I should get back to work, but I'll watch the rest of his stream later." And he said he couldn't go back.
Gotta love when that happens, doesn't
Yeah.
it?
So I wasn't able to stream for a week, so I was planning on doing this stream sooner, but then that whole thing happened. So
on timeout for a little bit. Happens to the best of us.
So anyway, let's introduce our guests. So on the bottom of the screen is your good buddy Charza from Twitter, and then on the
Twitter, YouTube,
and then on the right's the Great Iron Liz.
The Great Iron Liz, thank you. I'm honored to be on the stream. You're gonna love it. Thank you for having me.
Right?
No problem.
No problem. So it's so great to have you back in this world, because I don't know if this story has been told very much, but I'm sure maybe Dev brought it up once, but did you cover it on? Wasn't it Dev's stream that you covered it on? The situation that led to your because I'm talking to you, we get to know each other a bit, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm back in town, back in the country in 2020.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, your account's gone. And I'm like, oh God, she's in Minnesota right now.
Yeah. No, so my old Discord, I used to, I had some friends and they were in a third party or a different Discord than me. And he invited me into it just to say hi to a few people. It's like, okay, sure. So I went in there like once, like a year prior to that point to say hello. But then apparently that channel got mass flagged. Like everybody who was a part of it got flagged and their accounts deleted. So yeah, I just got nuked from orbit, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess there's no way I can get it back. So I had to kind of rebuild everything again. So Discord was not having it, and just guilt by association, I guess. But that's kind of the new standard these days, right?
Yeah. I guess.
I had to pester Dev to get you your credentials. I pestered him for months. Common theme, yeah.
So this is the sorry, I'm a bit tired. I had to get up early this morning for work.
I hear that.
So this is the volume 2 now of the rebooted Lightbringer.
That's right. So it's been interesting. It certainly has not been easy on us. So we're in the process. Okay, so as a quick recap, Linkara of Channel Awesome once created a online webcomic called The Lightbringer, and it was not received well. In fact, it was one of the most universally panned books on the internet. And think it has pages on TV tropes and elsewhere. It's kind of viewed as a. Go ahead.
Wasn't it also something awesome subject or something awful?
Yeah,
something awful.
They lampooned it, Mr. Medicare did. Like, everybody kind of took a crack at this thing, right? So in 2013, Lewis put it up and said, okay, this is public domain. I don't want this IP anymore. I hate it. It's over. It's out. And so last year we decided, okay, well, I've been kicking around the idea for a while of remaking it. Not like, shot for shot doing it or treating it as a joke, but treating it with, some dignity. There's a few decent ideas in there. And I thought there was some potential with it. So that's when we decided, okay, well, I got, with the help of Dark Gift Comics, we launched an Indiegogo campaign, and we were successful in raising the funds we needed to kind of redo it. And we did that last year. It's been successful. This year, though, it's been a lot harder for us. There's almost the whole of Comicsgate, or anybody who's been attached to it or connect, on any sort of positive terms with them, has been shadow banned. So if you were to look up the Lightbringer 2 Indiegogo campaign right now on Indiegogo, you wouldn't find it because they don't list it. They don't show it. So the link that we have is the way that you get to it, and that's how you can help support the project. We are down to the last couple weeks here, so we're getting close. Our costs have also gone up as a result of the shipping in general. Good Lord. So, we're about 2/3 the way there. I'm really hoping that near the end of the campaign, we can get some angel investors to push us over that threshold.
I'm literally pulling it up right now to contribute because I've been meaning.
Oh, well, thank you.
I want that hat. I want that hat.
Yeah, the Malga hat. So that is a bit of a, I guess you could say, a shot across the bow because the very first campaign stream that we had to announce the Lightbringer comic, right? I went on to a guy, his name on YouTube is V Infuso. So he was really instrumental in sort of documenting the Change the Channel saga. And every time there was a new piece of info, he would kind of give you an update with it. He was on really good terms with Holly and Mars Girl and kind of all those other people that were attached to it. And it was on.
I don't know if he's on those terms now. You can
right.
say.
I don't. Yeah, they kind of turned on him. And one of the things that happened was that very first stream that I was going to talk about Lightbringer. One of his fans actually let Linkara know through Twitter that this was happening and gave him a link. But wouldn't you know it, that stream actually got flagged. And I don't know if V ever got it so that he could make money off of it. But he got flagged for that, and I was like, somebody in the comments, asking him about me, not only did he call me a piece of shit, but he, and this is Linkara, I might add, but the reason for it was because I voted for Donald Trump, or I was a maggot, basically. So the whole shtick behind the Malga hat is that we made Lightbringer great again the first time. We're going to make it again, great again the second time. And that's our way of kind of wearing that with a badge of honor. So that's the story at least. So people are digging the hats. You get it, of course, on the top tier, but you can get it separately if you like. But
I just managed to get the cover A, and the Malga hat.
That's cool.
Right on.
I as soon as Liz hinted at the fact they're making the hats. I'm like, we gotta get the word out,
right? So,
I need to contact the Oni Plays email just. So
we've been trying. We've been trying. I would really like to talk to those guys just because they seem as though that they were fans of the show. Certainly, fans of the channel. Awesome. Yeah, exactly. Like these were folks that really said a lot of good things about that crew, and Linkara just treated them like they were lepers. He fucking
hates them. Compare that to Doug. Right. Compare to Doug's Only Plays connections, because everyone asks him now to stream. Why does it look like Vegas? If you want to see, like, there is no greater way of dichotomy or example to explain how most of the Change Channel was basically just a giant Me Too witch hunt. I mean, your stuff was obviously, I I know that's all.
Yeah,
true.
no,
At least in
I could everything I put in that document. I had receipts for. I could prove it.
Yeah.
But I guess I thought maybe badly or naively perhaps that everybody else was following that same mindset, when in reality I think a lot of people were jumping on the bandwagon.
Yeah.
And it was the height of the Me Too thing. So there are things that I don't know if people can necessarily prove, but sort of was taken as gospel. And that was never anything that, from my own background, it's like you never do that. You have to prove it, because anybody can say anything, especially on the internet.
I think one of my problems
Just
that
tell lies.
that I had with some of the Change the Channel crowd was, there's the allegations on Juwario and, some pretty heavy stuff. But then you'd see stupid shit from like people like Lindsay's like, oh, they didn't speak up against Gamergate.
Right.
And or like, when Doug made jokes that I found offensive. And I'm like, shut up.
Well, I think the takeaway that I always have with Channel Awesome and working on the Suburban Nights as a production assistant was before I was on the website. And so my goal on going down to in my head even I was like this. I was like, when I go and work on this place, I know I'm not getting paid. I know I'm going to work tons of extra hours, but I'm going to do it because it's the idea of, well, if I show them that I can play ball, if I show them that I'm a good fit and I'm reliable, blah, 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 well, maybe they'll let me into their club. And then maybe I can use that to advance my career, which is ultimately the casting couch mentality, right? Where it's like, you don't want to do this necessarily. You don't, you're not interested in this, but you want to play ball enough to get that, your foot in the door, don't you? And so for me, that was a really good lesson to kind of learn, where it's like, number one, you don't ever compromise your principles, right? You don't compromise that part of yourself, because you're number one. It's like, what else are you willing to sacrifice then? Are you just a prostitute, or do you actually stand for something?
Yeah.
So I'm glad I figured that out at that age, and not some of these other people where I feel as though Lindsay Ellis sort of lived by social justice and died by it. So
yep.
As what's his name, Harry Partridge said in their kick-assy, slightly artistic, she just reviews communism now instead of Fern Gully. But on the subject of
so I want to just say Lindsay's
go ahead.
Lindsay's lucky she died by social justice and not being squished by movie bobs.
Oh my god!
Oh, he was going after her feet. Yeah.
I hope there's someday going to be a green screen somewhere of him running, so we can add it to the collection. We got Linkara running.
I don't think he does run. I think if he does move quickly, it's more of a trundle.
I need to make a model of him. I'm already working on Linkara. I got all the Red Letter Media, or the two Jay and Mike for Red Letter Media done.
Oh, nice.
So I'm gonna make animations for all these guys.
There's a Twitter account. His name is Manlet Thorin, and he watches.
I love him.
He watches like Movie Bob series all the time.
Oh god!
And he just makes different jokes about it. And he made one tweet where it was like Movie Bob and like he's in, I think he's in Boston. I can't remember, but he's
somewhere in your parents' basement. Technically, below ground apartment is what he described it.
Yeah, okay. But I think he's like it's like snowing outside. It kind of looks like the Pine Barrens episode of The Sopranos.
Okay. Yeah.
And he has like a gun, and someone edited in Spoonie with his hands up. They said, "She's mine, Spoonie."
Oh no!
No, he'd have to fight over Quentin for that. That's the thing. Quentin's been run on green screen. I don't know why he did that.
I think it's because Jim, when he did the Channel Awesome series, he made a joke saying like Spoonie's aborted kid was. No, Lindsay's aborted kids with Spoonies.
Right.
People actually thought that was true.
Mm-hmm. It wasn't.
But I mean, Spoonie with Spoonie did come out then.
Yeah, he did.
It all connects. It's all connected to Pepe Sylvia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, Channel Awesome.
Speaking of Channel Awesome, there was something you mentioned that I've been trying to understand a bit, because I was thinking about it just now. Because you said you weren't on the website around 2011, which is when Suburban Nights came out.
Mm-hmm.
But I could have sworn you were in Linkara's videos. I'm guessing.
Yeah. So okay. I didn't have my own like drop down. At least at that point. It was after we came back from Kickassia. I don't really remember the exact date where that changed. And then, I got on the site, and I think it was in part because of, everything again, it was kind of my willingness to play ball that enabled me to get on, I think. So
I know, 'cause I unfortunately never got a chance to watch your actual content on the site, but I do.
You're not missing out. It's
Some
it's
people
millennial
really
humor, okay? I mean,
I'm a millennial. I think Crystal is too. So
I think I'm like one of like the last millennials. I'm 27. So.
okay.
I'm
No,
32.
I think if there's anything about Channel Awesome is that it's very much indicative of its age, and I really hope the Zoomers take that to heart and use that as a means of what not to do.
Well, the funny thing is, and this is something I've kind of realized over because when Change Channel happened, I fucking hated Doug, but that was me getting angry about Juwario and all that.
Right.
And then I like there's a whole background. If everyone knows that meme I made with Mars Girl, the Drake meme. She's she had me rent free in her head. I would add her and all that. It's funny. She would. Anyway, but I met Doug actually in 2016 at Indie PopCon. I had him sign my copies of Kickassia and Suburban Nights. I have them both on DVD. Of course, why wouldn't I have the Suburban Nights? They went for the Necronomicon in that. But Doug, no, what was it? Specific. God, no, I lost my train of thought. It's funny because, right. A lot of the people's stuff did not age well. I mean, Kara's. I used to find his storylines interesting until literally I thought about it for a little bit longer and realized that, oh my god, this is just garbage. I think actually of all people, Mighty Lolly's review of the movie is quite possibly one of the best like breakdowns of how fucking absurd it all is.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. I like that.
I love Bundy. He's awesome. But Doug's stuff, there are a lot of things he joked about in the kind of the millennial humor we were describing that, oddly enough, still hold up. And a lot of the jokes he did in like Ask That Guy with the Glasses are unironic reality now.
Yeah, I mean, when it came to Doug's humor, there was certainly one of the best jokes I think I still think is funny to this day. Was when he was doing the Garbage Pail Kids movie review, and it's like, for whatever reason, these teenagers have like this hate boner for this 10-year-old kid, and it's like, the more you think about it, it's like, yeah, what the hell is what is happening here? What brought us to this point? But there was a point like near the end where the kid is like beating up the main bad guy, and it's like, the bad guy punches this, the kid in the face. He's like, dude, he just hit that kid in the face. What an asshole. And then, the little kid's punching the guy in the face, and he's laughing, dude, that kid just hit that dude in the face. What an asshole. And I'm like, yeah, okay, that's a good line.
Yeah. The Garbage Pail Kids, I still can't believe that girl Tangerine is only a year older than the kid.
Oh God, really?
Yeah.
Oh Jesus,
she's only a year old.
Oh my God, that poor man.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, obviously everybody hates Demo Reel. Obviously that was a albatross around his neck for a long time. But I didn't think it was possible to have sort of like a redemption arc, but he has, and I think part of it comes from. Well, most of it, I would say, comes from the fact that he can laugh at himself, that he can, take it with a grain of salt and say, who am I to, tell people that they can't make jokes about we when I make a living about making fun of other people's work. It's like, that's a really mature mindset to have.
I should have watched Kinky Linky's video.
Yeah, but that contrasts directly with Howling Kara and Lindsay Ellis or Mars Girl or Spoonie or all these other people, especially those in the Change the Channel document, that they just cannot accept any sense of criticism or any scrutiny without them completely losing their minds. So
Critics
I gotta hand it
unable
to Doug.
accept
I
criticism.
gotta respect that. That's something that takes a mature sense to admit, and he's right. So yeah, props to him.
I mean, he posted my mod I made for Tony Hawk and put him into Pro Skater 1+2.
There you go.
He posted on
Yeah.
Facebook, and I view that as a badge of honor, man.
Yeah.
Need to update that.
So
Yeah.
there's another stream that I went on, talking with some folks, and apparently they made a documakura for Doug Walker. You know, it's the nostalgia critic, right? So like the
I
body
want
pillow,
this.
and you know what? I'll see if I can quick grab it. But you know, he asked about it, or they asked him about it specifically, like, is this okay? You know, we don't want to cause any problems or anything. And he thought it was hilarious, and he went along with it. And it's like, that is great. You know, that's something that, yeah, that shows that you have a sense of humor. Like, but if you tried to do something like that with Linkara, he'd lose his mind, or he'd want
I
to
actually
force
saw
you
a
to
Oh
hate
my
picture
him.
God.
online.
There it is.
I
linked
saw a
it there.
picture online that actually did put. It wasn't like a body pillow; it was a normal pillow, but it had a picture of Linkara on it.
Well, those are nice. I like that.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, Doug, props to you, buddy. You know, that whole era was not very good, and yeah, I look back on it with some good life lessons. But people change, and
Yeah.
you know, it's evident that he's at least grown up a little bit too. So okay,
I mean,
Oh yeah,
they revived it for what is it, that Twilight Zone October thing.
yeah, and see, the thing is like he's got to be doing something right, because I didn't think it was possible to survive the Wall music video that he did. Right,
Yes.
like that was like, holy shit, dude.
But I will say, this is something that Corey Spaz Kid said when they were talking about it, which honestly, I fucking love when he plays. And I
Mhm.
literally pull up hour-long videos of Corey screaming about shit, and I just love him.
Mhm.
But they said in that was, and this is, he said, you know, he's had a whole document and all that hit. And as soon as he puts up like another video that comes out, like, that's pretty good. Everything turns right around.
Mhm.
I think I found this meme in my archives. It was made right during Change Channel, and I took the picture of basically Doug recreating the "This Is Fine," or no, I made it myself, and it was like, it's like him sitting in the fire, and he's like, maybe if I upload a review, and it was Jack and Jill, which he put
Yeah.
out right when that came out, and I'm just like,
that was probably a more tasteful meme than I made during Change.
we all
I-
made memes.
Yeah.
I made a meme where it was Doug's face on one of the Twin Towers and Mike Michon's face on the plane. And because at the time it wasn't even like I was trying to own them, what happened is I was kind of getting to a
Sir, there's a
fight.
second update. There's a second update to the document, sir.
Because
yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, but what happened was I kind of made some. Before I go into this, though, I'd like to shout people out. Charza, do you remember Sheev? Sheev Lloyd. He's a friend of mine. He was. Oh yeah, he's in the chat right now.
Sheev
Unfortunately,
Palpatine.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say,
He had the Palpatine.
The
I
Emperor
think
himself.
so. Actually,
Yeah.
I think so. I'm not sure, but anyway, hi, Sheev.
Yeah. Anyway, but let me get to it. But so I made a joke. Of course, a lot of people, of course, said like from our sector was like, "Oh, channel autism."
Yeah,
someone
everybody's
kept-
making that one.
Someone really got mad at me for making that. And then I
Mhm.
said, responding kind of like jokingly, I said like it's okay, I have ADHD. Just as a stupid smart ass remark.
Oh
And
no.
then
I'm
someone,
Asperger's, so
and then they're like,
you get the retard pass from me.
yeah, okay. And then I'm like, they're like, but they like said the line of God damn it. They said
we sincerely
thought
like
you
something
we
we are
sincerely
is regretful that you feel that way or something.
yeah,
like that.
they try to use that.
Yeah,
on me.
that exact-
I wasn't even trying to apologize. But then I
Mhm.
like edited the image again of Doug with "Please be patient, I have autism."
Oh dear.
It's like you have to choose your hatred of Doug or your hatred of political incorrectness.
Mhm.
Like how Satanism's like, you can't be Satanist if you're not homophobic, whatever. And I'm like,
I just
First
don't-
off, you ripped that off from punks, but
yeah, I just don't get why Satanists would even give a shit to begin with. Like, aren't they supposed to be evil?
that's where you're like they're just supposed to be edgy. But it's like the modern day punks. So them posting that kind of made sense because you're like, punks are like, oh, you can't be conservative and be a punk. It's like,
Well, they were
But
all
is that
about
offending
that.
you?
It was like they were all about being edgy and anti-establishment. Now it's
Johnny Rotten is a unapologetic MAGA hat, and I say to him, good job trolling, my friend.
right. That was the idea.
Yeah.
Good lord,
Oh yeah, you know what I need to bring up since we brought up Lolly? Almighty
yeah.
Lolly. Almighty Lolly,
Oh.
not
No, yeah, okay.
But since you're
Cal.
on Channel Awesome, did you ever chat with the one who likes the bananas?
Oh, the one with the chocolate banana split, you mean?
No,
CJ.
the amazing, TJ.
Yeah,
the
CJ,
amazing
yeah,
Races.
chocolate banana split. Yeah,
Oh.
you put that up. Yeah, okay.
rap critic, you're saying, or
No. As a matter of fact, he was actually off the website before I really even got
Amazing
more into it.
autist.
Yeah, he was in the Mike
he's-
Ellis era.
Oh yeah.
I actually liked his stuff back when he was on there, and he wasn't like where he is on Twitter now.
Yeah, it's just because I heard like the story Lolly told about him about the the was it a trans person that he was dating and the father had to get a gun on him?
What?
I have
I
not
don't
heard of the story.
Okay,
this is
it
amazing
is-
game you're talking about, right?
Yeah, apparently he was dating some schizophrenic person. They
Okay.
basically got them high on weed and like they got into it was so weird, like
Ooh.
consensual cannibalism role play.
What? You're making that up, dude. Consensual
I swear.
cannibal.
No,
So what? You
Liz,
cut your
that is a
finger
thing.
off and they eat it?
That is a thing. Like, I know, freaking Dankula did a video on it. Remember? Like he did
He did?
consensual.
I must have
cabin.
missed that one.
I think
I'll
I
pull
missed
it
it
up.
too.
You guys want
It's a mad
fucking
lad.
Slanesh? This is how you get it. Like,
Well,
this
I
is
mean-
how you get Slanesh. Stop
It's so
it.
funny. That's the funny thing. I think about it and I'm like, everyone's saying like Sodom and Gomorrah was trending on Twitter last night, and it was
Oh
about
my God.
that one trans kid doing like lap dances on this big stage, and I'm like thinking to myself, I already called that because Cascadia is coming in the next 50 years. There is going to be an earthquake so massive it will be Sodom and Gomorrah 2, and it couldn't happen to a better place.
Well, it certainly
I'm not
seems
even
like
joking.
something's in the air.
It's like there was this. The only reason they figured out, like, basically was like in the Pacific Northwest, the Native Americans had this legend, like all these disparate legends about this great flood that happened. Like there was like a bunch of different peoples were telling these stories, and they didn't think much of it until the Japan record in the Japanese records, and I think it was 1800 or maybe even 1700. It was like turn of the century. There was an orphan wave that there was no earthquakes. It just came across the ocean and hit Japan completely by surprise because they always expect the sound. And then they're like, oh shit, they weren't lying. Like the Native Americans were correct. And now we have a date for when it happened. And then they went and like,
This sort of sounds like another, 2012 again,
No. This is real because they went the sedimentary material. Like it's a scientific thing. Like there are PBS things about it. It's a fault line that is like literally takes about 250 years on average, and we're long overdue. It could hit the San Andreas Fault. We could have Lex Luthor's vision for beachfront property in California in under 50 years. That's why I have a GIF that says Lex Luthor was right. And it's literally gonna be Sodom and Gomorrah 2, Electric Boogaloo. It's ridiculous.
I'm more concerned about like the lack of social cohesion at this
Oh,
point.
yeah.
Because like it
Those
just
are
seems like
contracts,
it seems like there's a two-part system in place, right? Where if your political mindset is this, then this. will be the result for it. Where I
Armin
think it's disturbing in a lot of ways that, like, okay, so I'm post-op trans, right? My surgery for my bottom, the sexual reassignment surgery will be, my 10-year will be in August, right? So I've been around the block, I've been exposed to this crap, and I beat the statistics. So at least for now, that's a joke. But in any event, I find it really creepy and weird and really twisted that people are coming out and defending the shooter that murdered 6 people and trying to suggest, oh, well, you know, this was because of reasons. It's like, you know, if you're going to justify evil, then you can make any sort of argument you want. It's the same mentality that the Nazis had, where it's like, oh, well, we have to get rid of these people because they've stolen all of our wealth and they war profiteered and they're obviously
Gina
evil people,
Carano
right?
was fired from The Mandalorian for saying this exact thing, by the way. I just find that rather...
Right. So if you have that mentality, yeah, this is the sort of thing that causes you to do war crimes, and that's horrifying. That should be abhorrent to anybody that values freedom and liberty and dignity of human life and the rest of that stuff, right? But it more and more feels like, well, depending on which ideology or mentality or political system that you abide by, the rules will be different for you, and that's dangerous. So I digress.
No, I think you're right. In fact, my read on all this, and this is one of those moments where I kind of realized I hate being right. A few years ago, I started learning or training under the tutelage of Mombot on Twitter, or rather, I just observed her and learned a lot on how to handle things. Mm-hmm. And I ended up having Anthony Birch block me by saying, "No one likes you enough. Your life will amount to nothing," which the best response is, "Well, could be worse." At least I'm not Anthony Birch. And I also even had Uwe Bo challenge my ass to boxing.
Yeah, he does that.
It's one of my favorite tweet rebuttals. He was like, because I was joking, I'm like, dude, I've heard Postal's good, but that doesn't change the fact the rest of the movies are shit, and they were all done for a tax write-off. He barged, like, I tagged him. I wanted him to respond. He's like, you have no idea how taxes are done and tax write-offs. You know, people went to Chicago, Transformers, and Dark Knight to get tax write-offs. You fucking dumbass. You know, any of this works. And I'm like, there's a difference between those movies and yours, Mr. Cole. Those are profitable. They also weren't the reason why production was moved to Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And they challenge you to box. But the thing I learned with overall this time of sharpening my skills is that you have to, when you're arguing with these people, first off, they can never be wrong.
Right.
Their mind is that they're always right because we're on the right side of history. So the only reason, it's literally the principal Skinner. Am I so out of touch? No, children. They're always gonna double down. You have to treat that like a constant, and that allows you to basically, like, completely call how they're gonna do things, how they're gonna present themselves, how they're gonna work on things. So self-reflection is something you just don't expect. It's one thing you're almost guaranteed not to see. So when this all happened, I'm thinking to myself, it's going to be the Hogwarts Legacy thing we just dealt with. That was fresh in everyone's mind. They bullied. I'm sorry, they bullied kicking me off the internet into retiring. Mm-hmm. There was all this shit, and the first when they had any blowback, they're like, "Well, no, there is no blowback. There is no war in your age. We're always at war in your age. There's no war in Boston." Say they memory hole it, and then there's some who celebrate it. So when this all happened, and it turned out the person was trans, all I could think of is, this is going to be repeated. That we're going to have people saying, "Oh, there are going to be some that are going to try and downplay it. The rest are going to be celebrating it."
Well, I mean, call me a cynic, but I mean, you had Hanoi Jane Fonda saying that, "Oh yeah, conservatives should be targeted," and even the women on The View were like, "No, stop!
That's a joke. That's a joke."
Right, it's a joke. It's all a laugh, right? Like, yeah.
That aged like shit, man.
So it's like it's like if people are telling you one thing and then they're doing another, it's like go with what they're doing and not what they're saying. Yeah.
I've heard somewhere about Jane Fonda that like she once got I can't remember the fuck that she was like couldn't get a table at a restaurant, and the waiter's like, "You don't even know who I am," and the waiter's a young person that doesn't know who she is, and it turned out the owner of the place was a non-vet and said, "Get the fuck out of my store."
Yep.
And it's like, I really hope that's true.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. Oh man. Oh. It's again their whole mindset. They're in this bubble. That's why I kind of like thinking to myself, "Ski Day cannot come soon enough."
Well, I mean, yeah, I view them more as like religious zealots. I view them more like a cult. And you can't argue with the true believers because nothing you say is going to convince them. The only thing you can do to convince anybody, I find, is to at least hold yourself to a higher standard and do the right thing even when nobody's looking. So if you comport yourself with dignity, if you comport yourself with calmness and you don't play their stupid games, people respond more to that. But there is nothing you can do that will make them go, oh, you know what? Maybe I am acting crazy. Maybe this whole ideology is crazy.
That's been kind of how I look at things. When I argue with someone on Twitter, I don't do it for their sake. I know they're full of shit. They might know they're full of shit. But they have this kind of outer layer, this veneer. And so my always job this is how actually YouTuber Counterpoints put it. And I was blown away. I was the only one that did this. It's kind of like a judo, where you use their energy against them. And you're not doing it for their sake, because they're not. Nothing you'll say will ever change their mind. But there might be people listening in. I think there was actually the first time I saw it was 2016 on Facebook, and we had people. I was having fun in the salt mines that day, and there was someone who joined in and said, "Hey, I didn't vote for either because I didn't know who to vote for." And then they turned their eye on like, "You're no better than him. He's in office now because of you, and you're no better than this guy who voted for him." And I'm just, that's what it first hit, where I'm like, well, first off, that was quite a these people, you're not going to change their mind. The best thing you can do is just, as I said, lead by example. And I've met a lot of people, a lot of chill people who happen to just be maybe trans, maybe whatever, and they chilled me out. I'm like, hey, we're all on the same page, and I never thought I'd be that way, but hey, I'm happy to have it.
Well, see, like for me, I have noticed that like there are some people after the whole shooting thing that were like expecting me to make like a public statement or something like that on the conservative side, and I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, well, blah, 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 reasons. And I'm like, listen, I'm not responsible for these people. I don't have to say anything. What do you want me to condemn a shooter? Of course I would do that. But the idea that the thinking they had is, well, if where are the trans voices that are condemning this stuff and it's important, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, now you're playing their game. Now, see, what they're doing is that they're lumping people into groups and then judging people based upon what group designation they belong to. And so you're doing the same thing now, where you're suggesting that this physical characteristic of mine is now the sole defining thing that you should judge me on. And it's like, no. You're falling for it and you don't even realize it. You're pissed off, you're vengeful, you're reactionary feeling because you're angry and hurt. I get it. But everybody wants to project their politics onto me because I'm post-op. I've done this. I am a relatively reasonable voice, I would think. But I don't have to do anything I don't want to. And the last thing I want to do is get involved, like any way involved in all this garbage. So, yeah, but I digress.
No, you're 100% right. It reminds me actually of what Ding Dong mentioned a few months ago about the whole Dream Daddy situation. He finally said something and was like, "Hey, they said, oh, you're gay. We want to talk about this," and then they threw him under the bus. And I'm just thinking to myself when you're describing it, I'm like, "Oh, good thing you didn't say anything because I could see that kind of thing forming."
Well, there used to be a time where we judged. Right, and that's what I was about to say. It's like there used to be a time where the primary focus was judging people on what they did and not necessarily what color or skin or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But we
I
don't
was just
do
talking
that
about that with my
now.
mom. It's like when I was like, my mom was like this morning. She's like, I just realized the '90s happened, and
Mm.
I don't remember them at all because I was, having you guys. And I'm thinking to myself, I told her like, back then I was like, I thought Martin Luther King's dream was a good ideal. As
Well-
someone who was bullied my whole life, yeah, treat people like people. Kind of the character. I thought that was really an admirable ideal to shoot for. Nowadays,
Right.
that's been thrown out.
We've been raised with like, I remember the Family Matters very special episode with racism and the rest of that stuff. And yeah, even as a kid, you're like, yeah, racism is terrible. These are good people, good kids. Steve is a good guy, and so is Laura and everybody. And I like them. I watched them, and to see them be targeted and treated that way was just disgusting and unthinkable. But now it's like, well, now we have to judge people based upon their characteristics because they might have unseen privilege or all this other CRT stuff. So, yeah.
I mean,
It's gross.
The thing that pisses me off the most is when people say, "Oh, you need to stop saying the R word," because at that point, that's when my gloves come off, and I say to them, as an autist myself, "Shut the fuck up, retard." You all get R word passes.
Well, what I always like to say too is that there's a difference between being trans or transsexual or transgender and being a troon, right? There's a big freaking difference, and we all that's just it. Like Chris Rock was saying this many years ago about black people, right? So it's the sort of thing where it's like it's a mindset, it's a mentality, it's this, and we all know what that
Black
mindset
versus
mentality
capital B
is with with gay people, with lesbians, with white people, black people, everything else in between. Everybody has good and bad aspects of whatever physical characteristic they happen to share. So how about instead of doing it that way, we just judge people on what they are and who they are, or rather who they are as people, as individuals. So.
The problem is when you repeat the lie enough times, people actually start thinking it's true. They don't have any alternative.
Well, see, I think there's definitely pushback to this stuff. I think people are getting fed up with it, and I think that can be as good or as bad as it has to be. But the more you double down on it, the more you don't say, yeah, maybe the left really has allowed these predators to infiltrate these movements, and maybe that is something that we should get rid of, and maybe we shouldn't be defending people that go after children for nefarious reasons. But there isn't any of that. It's like, oh well, it's either all or nothing. You either let them do that, or you're somehow no more. You're the same moral equivalent as if you were to drag them behind a pickup truck down a gravel road or something. It's ridiculous. So
the other thing I told my brother, because he was really anxious about all this situation, I said to him, dude, they're only going to realize that they went too far when everything they were screaming was actually happening finally happens. And I don't want that. I don't want that at all. But I'm also just... It is what it is. It's like one of those things where it's like, I'm not gonna get in the way of it, because at some point it's just gonna happen, and you have they'll have no one to blame but themselves.
Well, see, I'm not a doomer. I'm
not saying it is gonna be a doomer situation. I'm just saying it's just
sure.
pendulum swinging back.
I'm more optimistic in a lot of ways, where I think they'll. Unfortunately, we're entering in a situation where there's no such thing as loyal opposition anymore, where people are so polarized, where instead of working together with common problems and approaching them with different solutions, which is kind of what the whole point was with politics, you're further breaking apart into two different cultures, where one culture tries to hijack all the power to force the other culture to comply, and that's not going to work out. So I don't know if that will go to blows. I don't know if that'll go to fracturization or whatever. I don't know what the future looks like, but I know that is not a good place to go. So
I don't think I have no illusions that it's not a good place to go. Mm-hmm. It's just something where it's like it's gonna get worse until it gets better. I'm just kind of looking at the world as it is, not as I would have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I digress. I've been regular chatty Cathy here, so I didn't know if there's specific topics you wanted to get on before we get all doom and gloomy, but
fair enough. But well, I knew there were a few things that I had like on the back of my mind.
All right.
One of them. Go ahead, Crystal. Go ahead. I won't.
Oh no, I'm just saying, go ahead.
Oh, like I know the things I was mentioning was, or I said we're probably going to cover is obviously the Lightbringer comic,
Mhm.
bit of Linkara. I'm going to keep away from the other subjects that happened last night because, to be honest, I just want to just let dogs lie on that and never think about him again. We'll just say that much. Even though,
Well, either way, like with Linkara, it's the sort of thing where I've spoken with Kinky Linky, and it's been interesting where I don't want to hold grudges with him. I want to kind of let things go and let because I don't think about Linkara in a lot of the ways that I think he might about me or other people that said bad things about him in the past or things maybe he didn't even necessarily agree with. Like, I don't want to do any of that, but I think it's impossible for me to have any sort of friendship with him because he's just so aggressive, which is a pity.
he's gone full autist. The way I look at Linkara is, I made this meme where it's like Linkara is just a less autistic Christian, and I stand by that because he was able to turn away from his mannerisms and do this change when he was called out for his shitty, cringy stuff, but he still kept doing it, and it kind of bubbles up over a while. Any YouTuber is going to hit this point in life or hit this point in their career where the ego overtakes it all. And it causes the downfall, and nothing you'll do, nothing like they won't realize it until it's almost too late. Doug is one of the few exceptions where he was able to turn things around. But I guess I'm just gonna say it. Everyone has that moment, and let's just say Total Devskit has, or Short Fat Biscuit has definitely hit that point now, and I don't want to believe it, but unfortunately it is what it is. But like, when I know like Chris Raygun, his brain boiled during lockdown, like that was when it happened, because I can precisely pin it when he did the autocomplete Joe Biden thing. After that, he was full on into that. You had, Spoonie was obviously that's an easy one, 5K patron. You got Boogie, who was the surgery. Bo Blacks has gotten an ego now, and he just like is essentially controlled opposition. I think
I never watched Bo Blacks to begin with, to be honest.
Almighty Lowly compared him to like Green Day. Like Green Day is the yeah.
I saw that.
It was an apt comparison. It was.
It was.
The funny thing is, like Green Day. I brought this up with him after he said that, and I am curious what you guys think, because I actually really I enjoy 21st Century Breakdown now more than ever, because that album has turned from being a repudiation of the crazies in the right wing conservative Christian whatever, to literally being an unironic handbook for how they do things now. Every song on that album is more so applicable to the left today than the conservative left, like even more so, arguably. And I'm just like sitting here like it's funny at that point, because you're seeing them become what they hate, and that's kind of been, well, again, that's why I use that term to describe SFO for a while. I wasn't sure. I thought I went too harsh on him, but
well, you either what's the phrase from Dark Knight? It's you either die a hero or see yourself.
Or live long enough to get into a car accident over in Chicago, in Illinois. Don't tell me how I drove.
Yeah, I don't really know what happened to Spoonie. I hope he's doing better.
Wasn't he moved back with his parents or
that's
something?
What I heard.
Yeah, that's what I heard too.
I know his dog died.
Oh, Oreo died?
Oreo's long gone, yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that much.
I felt bad because I did a solo stream by myself, and I said something like I don't know, I don't think Spoonie's taking good care of that dog, and then the dog died. I'm like, oh shit, I feel bad.
Yeah.
You're just saying that, yeah.
Yeah.
But what else was
but it comes for all creators. I know eventually I'm going to get past my prime and completely lose myself, which is why I'm not even attempting it anymore. I make animations when I want to, but I've kind of just looked at it as a hobby while I do other things.
I've always kind of viewed this as a hobby. I've never wanted to get kind of bigger than I am because I just don't like that pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Like that's why I can't do commissions, for example. Like it's just not going to happen.
Well, I know that there's evolving your skills and improving and getting to a level where it's like, yeah, if you see how far you've come, and there's yeah, that's something to be proud of. But it's always, yeah, never forget that your shit still stinks. You know, you're not infallible, and just because you have a bunch of people saying they agree with you doesn't mean you're always correct either. So that was the Channel Awesome curse that I think a lot of people fell victim to. But
Yeah.
I think actually, like Lolly put it in his video, it's like if you're using it to kind of like build your skills, okay. But these people were like thinking this was the be all end all. This is their ticket in, which I mean to ask, because rumor had it that when Linkara was on the set of Kick-Assia, when he was chewing the scenery, he thought that was the pathway to Hollywood. I need to ask the veracity of that claim and whether or not that was unironically how he looked at it. Because I know you said in the past you confronted him and he's like, "What's your end game here?" And he's like, "As long as I ever can." And now he's like literally stuck in that like monkey's paw like thing. But I have to wonder, because I heard that, I immediately thought, is that legit? I need to find out.
Well, I know that a lot of people saw their time at Channel Awesome as being like, yeah, this is my gateway into the industry, but there's never really any sort of jump to that. At least in Linkara's case, I know that he wanted to get in with Big Two. So be it either Marvel or DC. And I think at the time he was more interested with DC. But the thing of it is like you have to, you've reviewed comic books or you've got that, but you also have to create comic books. You have to have some success that you can point to in the creation department instead of being a movie critic doesn't make you good at making movies. So there's a different set of talents and skills and abilities and connections that go into that. And I don't know if anybody ever really negotiated their online fame into actual industry skill or industry connection. I think
Lord
Lindsay.
Cat.
Yeah. Okay.
Lord Cat tried. He failed.
Sure. Lord Cat.
And then blamed blamed it on Spoonie.
Well, yeah. He Lord Cat. Yeah, I know he did his thing. Sure, but like Doug, for example, never became production assistants, or they never got in good with anybody that gave them a job somewhere. And that, yeah, you can make your own videos like that, but you're really just pandering to a specific crowd, right? You're
spinning your wheels, yeah.
You're preaching to a choir that's already going to like you. And I think his stated goal in demo reel was to use that as a means of getting into Hollywood. But yeah, the movies they made were not anything that were like documentary style or something that you could sell to a normie, right? So,
yeah. Like I think when I watched the anniversary movies, I had actually not watched most of the other people, so I didn't get a lot of their lore.
And that's just we
watched it when it came out. A friend of mine were huge fans at the time. So,
well, it's the people that watched the movies were fans of the show, but there was not. If you were like a brand new person that just happened to go across the site, you're not going to know what any of this stuff means.
I wasn't really brand new. I'd been watching Doug's content for a while, but took me a while to watch any of the other people. Like Spoonie, I basically binged his content. I didn't really watch when it came out. And Brad was like, I think, one of the few other people I watched. I haven't watched him in a while, but I still like his old reviews. I haven't seen his new ones.
I've heard his stuff's good. I never got into his stuff, actually.
Yeah, we lost touch a little bit. I think Brad got a lot of flack because he sided with the Walkers, I think.
Oh, God, and there's the whole swatting.
Right, and then, there was something I wanted to mention earlier, too, where I think one of the most disappointing things about the Channel Awesome saga Change the Channel thing, right, is that it wasn't used as a means of bettering, yourself or your content or your community or any of that, right? Like it was absolutely used as a billy club to get either information or like attention or clout or whatever, money,
Yeah.
but there was no improvement on anything after that. You would think of something that brought that much attention and brought that much importance for how they said it was important to them and how outraged they were, that they would hold themselves to a bigger standard, but they didn't. In fact, Obscurus Lupa, Mars Girl, Lindsay Ellis, like they didn't improve on anything, and they only just used it as a means to try to further their careers, which
Yeah.
I think is about as morally. That's not moral at all. Yeah, that's not a position of strength or something you should be proud of.
You want to know something kind of funny about Mars Girl?
I'm sure there's plenty, but
here's the thing.
Yes.
Years ago, she got interviewed by what the fuck's that guy? Is he even still on Extra Mana?
Oh yeah, he's long gone.
Yeah.
You were interviewed by him too. That
I
was
was
awesome.
as well.
That's what I met. That's how I met you. Actually,
Yeah.
I was on his Discord server.
I liked Extra Mana. He was fun. But
He followed me briefly and then unfollowed me because I guess I didn't go to enough of his streams.
Okay.
I don't know. But anyway, he interviewed Mars Girl, and I thought it was a decent interview. He's like, I never watched Mars Girl that much, but it's not a bad interview. And she liked my tweet, saying that I thought it was a good interview.
Sure.
And then cut to years later after we do our first stream together, Charza's in Mars Girl's like tweet
I'm on her
threads.
shit list. Yeah, I'm doing a bad voice for it too.
Yeah, and doing the tweets with linking to our stream and my name. She blocked me by proxy because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Her block list is incredibly long.
Yeah.
I've been blocked by Linkara for I think at least 6 years now, since whenever Jim did his video on him.
Mm-hmm.
When I got my my new account, which I'll need to go into at some point tonight, that was crazy. But let's just say that I made sure I went out of my way to get Linkara to block me very quickly. I think I mentioned, I think I was just comparing someone to Linkara and how they do their streams, I think, or something, and then that was enough.
It's not hard. I mean, all you have to do is just to say one of the banned words that he doesn't allow.
On his Discord server, no less.
Yeah.
I just tweeted the at him and he blocked me.
Mm-hmm.
The funniest thing is earlier on, because I used
letter blockers.
I used to follow him, and the funny thing is, like, this was back when he was still doing the plot, and I was like, I started guessing things like when I was still a fan, and I actually made a meme that he was like, he got upset about. I guess because I wasn't really clued into how much it offended him.
Okay.
That like it was the brace yourselves, winter is coming. Only it's a picture of Linkara's face saying brace yourselves. All the way off is coming. But he saw that and he reacted to it.
I need to see if at some point I can get my Twitter banned so I can make a new Twitter account. And then I need to tweet at Linkara, hey, when's the next episode of the Power Rangers thing coming out?
Mm-hmm.
It'll be out. We'll be done when it's done. History of Ultra Avengers has no set schedule. Wake up already.
Mm-hmm.
I think he still gets mad at that too.
Of course,
I love how Rocco was.
Voltage Ventures. Yeah. Though I think one of the biggest mistakes I ever made with Channel Awesome is even taking a look at Film Brain's content.
Yeah, I never really cared much for his stuff.
I'm so excited. He's actually better in the movies.
Yeah, he is. Have you seen his video? There was a point where he just started stretching out like the words he's saying, like, it's me, Film Brain. It's like, oh, shut up.
It's like annoying your fans is not a good thing, or your audience. Yeah.
I really do like how amazing Oni plays in impressions.
Oh, symbolism.
No, I fucking love how Chris O'Neill can do a spot on Linkara, and he's so pissed that everyone thinks he does a spot on Linkara.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, Smiling Friends is proof in the pudding that they are very talented. Zach, especially,
Yeah.
goddamn brilliant
Zach's
voice
fucking
actor.
awesome.
Goddamn,
Yeah.
like
I just love them. I love like Oni plays in general, and like a lot of their inside jokes snuck
Mhm.
in.
yeah,
Oh.
they kind of reminded me of like Game Grumps went to its logical conclusion years ago. They kind of feel like the spirit of Game Grumps continued on, but in a much better way.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. In fact, the specific I found the context of what got me blocked by him. It was actually Gamer from Mars saying how JonTron almost ruined his career. Link below. And it's like what happened? And it was JonTron in the front. You got Destiny on the left side of the thumbnail and Aaron on the other. And I said, meanwhile, Aaron's career has essentially ended up like Power 19s, making content because he needs to instead because he wants to. Meanwhile, the bigoted JonTron can leave YouTube for 6 to 8 months, upload a video, hit over 1 million views in 24 hours.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
what got him to.
JonTron is so damn talented. But
He's freaking amazing.
And you see someone like Zach again, where it's like he's got Charlie is my favorite character on Smiling Friends. He's got that voice and that demeanor down pat. That's hard to do. That's not easy.
I love also the choice of guest actors.
Mm-hmm. They got
the first episode they had Mike. They had Mike Stuckloss in the first episode.
Yep.
They had Chills. I'll get the number 15.
They had Scary Perry.
They had Gilbert Gottfried as God, and I think that was his last role.
And James Rolfe as the devil.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't James apparently.
No, that was. I thought it was.
No, it's still which one voices Charlie again?
Oh, it's Zach.
Zach.
Yeah, someone they sped it up and it's his voice.
Oh,
James is in the episode. He's like seeing it for a couple brief seconds when Charlie's actually going to hell in that weird montage.
Wait. I thought he was actually voicing someone. Okay.
No, it's just his face showing for a couple, and Mike's in there too from Red Letter Media.
Mm-hmm.
I should specify that because you hear James and you think Mike Matei.
Yeah.
I like brown bricks and Mike. The funniest thing is there actually is a UberDuck AI voice of James's terrible Gadget voice, and it's arguably a better AI voice than the actual Inspector Gadget voice.
Oh God.
Although I got in praise because the Brown Bricks video, Mike Matei did actually own up to that.
Mm-hmm. Compare that to again like Linkara. If he came in here and just said, "I'm the Lightbringer."
Right, like if he came in and if he'd gone on Oni Plays or whatever, and like the moment he's like, "Hey guys, it's me, the Lightbringer," everybody would have a really big laugh, and everybody would go like, "Oh yeah, oh my god, yeah!"
There he is! Get him out of here! Get him the hell out of here!
Right, they'd have a good laugh for like 5 minutes, and then if it's just like, "Yeah, no, I guess I just." It stings when people make fun of you, or at least in jest, and maybe I took it too seriously. Where that would be like people would be, they'd be like, "Yeah, I'm really glad that he seems okay," but he's not doing that.
Well, I mean that the funny
thing
is like, I have seen a video where Doug was asked on the stream if he had ever considered doing a collab with Oni Plays, and he said they have talked about it, but for what he gave the impression that. Whatever the reason is, he can't do it. Like it's something. It might be Mike Matei. I don't know, but he gave the impression that he'd love to do it, but his hands are tied. And I'll be honest.
Oh, you mean Mike Machode? Yeah.
Machode, yeah. Not Machode. That's. I mean, again. Remember, guys, the role of Film Brain in that Tekken or King of Fighters movie review. That was supposed to be Dev and the Short Fat Otaku crew.
I think it was supposed to be his friend Dave when he was.
Well, yeah, because Dev was just one of the writers. He wasn't the eponymous. But you get what I'm saying? It's like that was originally supposed to go to them, and then Rashaad's like, no, we can't collaborate with anyone outside the site.
Yeah, it's just weird because I think Doug had collaborated people outside the channel.
Oh yeah. Oh, of course he has.
Rolf.
Mike's just an
James
asshole.
Rolf. Yeah. Then there's Oh yeah, I came up with something because Handsome Tom was part of Channel Awesome, right?
Mhm. Yep.
Yes.
I
And
thought
8-Bit
it,
Mickey.
yeah, and 8-Bit Mickey.
Hmm.
You see, I make this kind of sometimes try to make this joke, but I don't think people understand it because it's that whole old internet world, and then I'm trying to compare like kind of radio from the 90s, 2000s,
Hmm.
of having a fight between Stuttering Craig and Stuttering
Oh
John.
God.
Well, Stuttering Craig. Okay, I don't know if I'm surprised. Gundam's not actually making a full video on it or something. But if you
Yeah.
have you guys seen the interview question that it's a Gundam left for Dark Side Phil?
No.
I have never seen a man get roasted so thoroughly, and like I have never seen such a perfect roast.
Hmm.
It was like 5 stars, 10 out of 10, best bit I have ever. I could not stop laughing. It was that good. Actually, I probably could pull it up and put it in the chat because I know he posted it on Twitter, and I did send it because like I literally said like it was like a freaking Winston cigarette after sex.
Hmm.
Oh my god, it was the greatest like 2 minutes of sheer unadulterated like roasting. And I'll be honest, I need to animate it because I when I made that Tim Pool animation back in 2020, like
Mhm.
Adam Kragler was like, I hope one day I make something that is worthy of you animating it. And considering he's right there with studying Craig in the SP, and I have a Gundam model, I'm like, I gotta animate it for his sake because that was
Mhm.
I have never seen such a systematic roast, and just thinking about it, I just in awe.
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah,
Yeah.
I'm happy. Like for every Linkara, for every Spoonie, for every acknowledged John situation, you have people like Stuttering Craig. You have people like, of all people, Boulder Boy himself, Monday Matt.
Yeah, he even had a redemption arc. So,
Like
I don't know, he still kind of annoys me.
no, of course
Well,
he
yeah.
is, but
but compare the infamous stream where he was on
yeah, they caught him.
Ralph Retort,
Hmm.
and it was and you had Jim there as a jester.
Mhm.
Medicare was on there as a jester. You had Ralph leading, and then you had Boulder Boy on defense.
Mhm.
And now, a few years later, last year of the Chud, we had the roles completely reversed. You had Monday Matt being the moral, the arbiter between
Mhm.
Jim, still the jester, and Ralph, drunk off his ass,
Yeah.
getting into a spat. And I'm just sitting there like, what a world we're in.
Right.
Matt got a redemption arc. Props, bud. That's incredible.
As you say, yeah, he's well, he's properly named. He is mundane. There's nothing really
Yeah.
exciting about
Boring.
mundane Matt. You know,
Well,
he's
he's gotten better. I mean, compare him to say like his other contemporary VTech USA.
I would argue that mundane Matt is just he's not too far away. He's on the same coin as Darkside Phil, and I really just don't have any interest in him. You know.
Well, I will say, if you ever want to get him to like Monday Matt to shut up immediately, all you need to do is say my girlfriend's daughter.
Oh God.
There were arguments I would get into him. I think it was like me against me, and it was back when Lore was in before the fall of Lore, and he would get into arguments, and I would just jump in there. He'd jump in with me, and then I just say it. I just include it in the message, and he'd shut up immediately. It was like I would bait him in, he'd take the bait, and then I just casually, offhandedly say my girlfriend's daughter, and then he just shut up. It was just we kept doing it. It was for a long time, and he eventually blocked me. But it's like how, as much as I despise Anthony Birch, I'll give him credit. He's still going. He lost the Wii U, but he's still going. I gotta give him respect for the hustle. You know.
Mhm.
Mundane Matt, he blocked me because like he got into an argument with I think her name's Lauren Chen.
Oh,
Yeah, he got into an argument with her, and like and this was before this was like 2019, so this is after the Boulder stream. All she said to him was, "What, are you gonna flag my video or something?" And they got into an argument, and then I just replied to him the screenshot of him crying over the play button,
Mm-hmm.
and he
oh,
blocked me. Turn off the pesky ad block.
I love how Jim put that into his Linkara video.
Mhm.
It's so apt. It's such an apt. Oh,
And
my
the
God,
sad thing
Linkara.
is, Matt was one of the people who criticized Linkara for that video at the time.
Yeah, everybody kind of weighed in on that, but the irony was certainly not lost.
Especially when it comes to Matt and Reboot. So I fucking love how like Linkara he's because I have Asperger's and I'm sure he had like that's what he. It's funny because I've been told I can't use my diagnosis as self ID because Asperger's was a Nazi. So therefore, you IDing yourself what you're diagnosed with is offensive to other people on the spectrum. And I'm like, but I'm on the spectrum. Excuse me for using my diagnosis. Yeah, it was.
Right.
It was. And the funny thing is, like, he didn't want the kid. He thought there was use in them for the record. So it's like could be worse people who could have named you that. Could have discovered that, but I see him and maybe it's because of my kind of Highlanderish quickening thing where I can understand people or attack people like me at myself, but I see some of the things how he acts and I get it in a way that like most people wouldn't, I guess. Like it it's weird. Like when I first discovered Chris Chan, it freaked me out because I realized I could almost immediately get into that like a little bit of the mindset, and I was almost overwhelmed because I'm like, holy shit, am I there are certain things in there that I mean, not the exact same thing, mind you,
Sure.
but it made me freak out for a minute because I thought, am I that much of a freak? But it's so yeah. I guess we should ask Liz. I need to stop rambling. I'm curious if she has any funny stories to share on that regard. Like the one thing I was going to ask: how did the arc of him getting captured and you taking over? There had to be some like I'm curious how he pitched that to you for you first appearing on the show.
Oh well, that was kind of back in the early days too, when we just started to date, and I think his whole thing is that he wanted to get me on camera as sort of a means of proving that he was with somebody, except I was still relatively early along in the passing process, so I was still a little bit ambiguous and more than a little bit self-conscious about my appearance. And so I think initially, I don't know if it was thought through all the way where it's like, oh yeah, no, we'll have you on and this will be a thing.
Zinkara not thinking things through, stop the presses. I never expect that.
Right. So that didn't go through the way that I think either. Like admittedly, I had not really done anything like that online. So I was not near, like I could guess, but I didn't realize how big it would be. And I didn't realize that there were specific websites designed to call this stuff out or look at it and troll it. Right. So, I know
I've heard
that
things about the Kiwis farm thread.
Yeah. So, for me, it sort of turned into initially like, this isn't going well and I'm not really feeling it so much. And I think that's where initially there was I think the comic book I reviewed was some sort of like superhero, like they captured villains and put them in like a secret prison and punished them because they weren't able to be punished in real like society. And so that's when we switched it over to the Ewoks one, because I'm like, dude, this isn't good. I don't know if I want to do this, or this isn't really.
I remember that. Yeah.
And that one went a lot easier because I knew the content and I could make the jokes a little bit more easily because I was just reading the lines on the script that he wrote, right? So it sounds stilted. It sounds weird. It's like Doug writing dialogue for female characters. He's like, those are his words, not his actor friends. So that made it a little better because I could ad-lib a few things into that. But yeah, a lot of the plot stuff that I got dragged into was stuff that I didn't know what his intentions were with them or where they would go. Like the whole
So-
Neutro one, that one, I look at that and I'm like embarrassed to this day. I look at that and I go, why the hell did I agree to that?
Because to be honest, at the very end, that stinger of you taking off the helmet, I could tell you weren't happy about that. You're like, why am I doing this? You say that now, it doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, and the
Judas
Silent Hill
Liz.
nurse stuff, the Judas Liz stuff. Yeah, that was.
Was that you or was that him?
No, that was more me, but it was also like, okay, well, we have to have a dark, every
Dark Rob.
right. We have to have a character whose whole shtick is that they're the evil version of the reviewer, right?
Like Mecha Kara?
Yep. So that
Dark Rob.
was kind of what that was supposed to be. But at that point, I kind of was getting like, no, I got to stop doing this. This isn't working. So, yeah, the moment for me where I kind of threw in the towel was when I was putting together all the content for the Red Dwarf tabletop RPG. And yeah, this was a niche game that very few people probably ever played. It was obviously.
I did find those on a torrent server recently. I was wondering what I need to watch the video.
Well, I don't think I ever released that one specifically, but I got to the point where I felt ashamed, right? Like where I was like, this is the sum of every coach, every late night studying to get through school, everything to put myself into as like to get myself through school, whatever. And all my skill and everything led up to the point where I'm writing about making jokes about or trying to make jokes or things about Red Dwarf in a tabletop review game that maybe only 50 to 100 people ever played. Wow. Way to go. I'm really, yeah. I'm living up to my potential, aren't I? So yeah, that was a moment where I kind of went, okay, I got to grow up. This isn't working. This is a state of arrested development. I know deep down these people are not living their best life or what they should be doing. They're kind of, yeah. So I kind of looked at myself in the mirror, didn't see where I wasn't happy with where I was going, and decided ultimately that I had to leave and break up.
To be
and
honest,
all that, so.
I feel like I brought this up last time Crystal had us on
Hmm.
about this old saying you told me, or this description you told me,
Mhm.
when you were doing all these extra things on not stream, but doing all those extra overtime shifts,
Mhm.
and people were asking you like, why are you doing all this? It's like, well, it's like there's a gold brick sitting in the middle of like a mile away. Someone tells you there's a gold
Mhm.
brick sitting in the middle of the field, out of nowhere, and you go out there and grab it. It's yours.
Mhm.
But pouring rain, you don't have your shoes, you don't have an umbrella, no coat. You know, with every
Mhm.
excuse you want to not go get that brick.
Yep.
And to be honest, that is one of the most inspiring things I've ever heard. And I've kind of kept to it. I mean, here I am now, in a bigger place in the studio flat I was back then.
Mhm.
And I'll be honest, talk about inspiring, because I owe a
Aw.
lot of that to you. So I want to make sure I say that before I forget.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and I guess from my own sense, I knew I wasn't getting any. Things were not improving, right? Like if I seriously put my shoulder to the wheel and did that stuff, I don't think there's any real money in it unless you get toward the top of it, right? Like unless you become like a.
Why
name
does he
like
say
Don
turn off
Carr.
the Fespi ad block?
But that's infamy. That's not the same thing as having 300,000 to 500,000 views per video. Because when you get to that level, yeah, you'll actually make some money off of it, and you might actually get some sponsorships or other nice things that happen. But most people don't ever get to that point, and so unless it's like a hobby or you're enjoying it, or you're trying to, I like to share my passions and interests with people. If you're doing that, yeah, that's fine. You'll probably be okay. But if you were like me at the time, which was trying to make a go of it and trying to use it to pay my bills because there was no other work, because it was 2009 to 2013. So like that made it a lot worse, and I realized I was wasting my valuable time that I couldn't make up. So yeah,
that's where I'm at right now. I'm at full time at my actual job, and this is kind of just a side thing I enjoy.
Yeah, and I'm certainly not trying to dissuade anybody if that's what you want to do. I mean, I'm seeing to be honest, I'm seeing the merit in maybe even getting like doing Twitch sort of like do a Twitch stream of like Project Zomboid or something, right? Just so I can regain a toehold on the internet. Because, when it comes to marketing Lightbringer, for example, there are fewer people than there were last year that are doing streams in general. The economy has gotten a lot worse. Costs have gone up. It's definitely noticeably more difficult, especially even without the shadow ban. So being like Eric July is a fantastic success story. But in part of what he was able to accomplish is because he already had an audience kind of ready-made. He had a following in a topic that he was able to properly market, if you're going to use financial terms. So it's like, yeah, good on him. If I want to make a comic book and then have people that will back that comic book, well, if I can have a channel that's devoted to writing or creative endeavors like that, yeah, odds are I'll be able to do that without needing to go to other people and ask to market it or shill it or stream about it. So
that's the one thing I will say about that I really admire about Eric July is his ability to. It's kind of like Trump, the ability to perpetually stay in the limelight, and he's very good at that. And that's I blown away by it. I need to be streaming more myself. Half the reason I put a camera on is to make sure that I felt comfortable doing it again.
And for my own, like the quote that you mentioned, like the reason I did a lot of that is because I wanted a house and I wanted certain things, and the only way that you can get those things is to go out and earn it. That's what I was doing. I was walking through the rain.
That's how I got all this stuff behind me.
Yeah, no, it's
oh god,
it took a lot of hard work to get there. I mean, it's nothing comes easy in life, so you gotta.
Nothing worth doing in life is by definition going to be easy.
Exactly. So, even if we don't necessarily cross the $6,700 threshold to break even with the campaign, I'm sure there's a way that I can figure it out. I can just cut the check because I want to get the story done. At least the 3-comic arc or the 3-book arc. The original Lightbringer that Linkara never made any money. This is we made a little bit on the first one, but realistically, I'm not expecting Titanic level success with it. But I do think it's important to tell the story that's out there because it deserves to be there. So, yeah.
And the more
that's worth the investment. So
what I will say to Lightbringer, this is why I want to make sure I contributed before the campaign was up, was I don't want Linkara to be able to be fucking smug bastard about it. I'm gonna be perfectly honest because he's gonna do that. He's gonna be like, oh, well, look at that. I couldn't get past the first and second campaign. No, fuck him. We're gonna do this.
The book will come out. I mean, the reality of it is he can be smug all he wants, but I didn't give up on he's the one who gave up on his own IP. I mean,
he gave up on creating altogether because he realized he was shit at it. And
right.
If you can't create, tear others down. That's the whole thing about Linkara, that nothing made sense. Or as Jim pointed out, is that
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's easy to throw shade. It really is. It's easy to criticize. I think the irony though is that if I had his reach, I'd be able to find, if I could get on and have a video that or do a stream with him, that would be the ultimate irony. Is I'd be down with that. I really would. I would not want to. I'm not here to hold grudges, but it's evident that he views himself succeeding if others fail, which is not.
Again, he made a joke about Brad's getting swatted and claimed it was a joke. Like it was. Oh, it's just he made that up too. Huh?
Oh God,
bastard.
Yeah, that's horrid. Yeah.
Not surprising though from him because he is the embodiment of a vindictive man and autist in a ditch.
Well, it's like okay, so let's say for example, for the sake of hypotheticals, let's say for example that when it comes to book 3, I launch the campaign and it gets 0 backing. Not one person will put a single dollar towards it, right? Okay. But you know what the nice thing is I get to go home and I still get to go to work the next day at the job that I worked hard to get, that pays me a good amount, that gives me health insurance, that gives me paid time off, that gives me dental, that 403k matching, the 401k. It's like all this other stuff that kind of comes with being an adult. I'm not basing my entire existence on it. And Linkara can't say the same.
The dental plan is the most amusing, ironic thing, because he goes to like what is it?
He went to the equivalent of a barber college, right? Like he went to a student college to get his wisdom teeth out, I think. That's not good, right? Like that's pretty rough.
The way I look at it when it comes to like him is that, because I was in this mindset in 2016, 2017, where I hit this moment where I realized, oh shit, I've spent like 5 years after I got kicked out of college wallowing in my own self-pity.
Mm-hmm.
And I can stay there for as long as I want, but I shouldn't blame anyone else, because the only one keeping me there is myself.
Exactly.
And once you realize that, you have to hit that epiphany.
Mm-hmm.
No one else can do it for you. I have my parents tell me all the time, you probably should do this, right? And I'm like, no, it doesn't make any sense. But until I made the conscious decision to change, I was holding myself there, and that's kind of what it is. I want them to get better. I want people who are in that mindset to get better. It makes me happy when I see someone who I've kind of bullied into it. I mean, look at Shia LaBeouf. Okay, He Will Not Divide Us happens. He gets trolled countless times. He gets into anger management. He assaults someone. They make the greatest capture the flag ever, and they beat their time in season 4.
Yep.
And where is he now? We successfully trolled him so much that now he's a practicing and strong Catholic. And when I heard that, two things came to mind. One, I couldn't be happier. I am all for this, because he's all because he wanted to roll in Padre Pio and all this. It makes me interested that one of the people who was producing it was actually Nick Cage. Is he Catholic? I don't know. That'd be really cool if it was. He's awesome. But secondly, we have now a precedent where we can troll someone so hard that they convert to Catholicism. I say we do Linkara next.
Well, it's like, I think, I'm not a psychologist by any stretch, and I'm not claiming to be one, but I would think that if you had the sort of all the way up to the top and then all the way crash to the bottom that Shia LaBeouf had, where he was on the cover of GQ, he was in all this, he was a rising star, he did all the stuff with the Transformers movies, and then he did that whole he just sort of collapsed, like
self-destruct.
Right, everybody was laughing at him, and that was probably the worst thing that you can get in a ego-driven or a image-driven.
I mean, he was already on the after Transformers, like that whole 2010s after Transformers, he was teetering. It was it was clear that like he wore that bag on his head where he said, "I am not an artist. I'm not famous anymore."
Yeah, I'm not famous.
He watched all of his movies on loop, and then he did this, and that was like his attempt to get back up, because the greatest modern art piece, and then all it became was like the embodiment of. It was Pole's equivalent of "Give Me 5," and that was quite possible. Okay, the funny thing about the flag, capture the flag. Okay, I saw that. Okay, and I was blown away, because I looked at it, and I'm like, this is quite literally how I hack things. This is my mindset for going in and hacking, and I'm seeing what essentially is a supercomputer cluster of autists figuring this out, and it's like literally like the most literal definition of a supercomputer of autism.
Well, the reason they were doing it was because it was funny, because it would get a rise out of people, right?
But they were also they were contributing their skill sets. What I found when it comes to hacking is there is no such thing as a perfect lock, because if there was a perfect lock, the only thing you could do is literally make it so no one could enter. But there is no such thing as a perfect lock, because someone has to unlock it. And if you realize that, you can pick the lock. Last year I got into this. I did this social engineering thing. I don't know if I've ever shared this story in its entirety online, but I got Biden bucks, or got like some like tax refund, and I was like, you know what? It was probably 2021. I'm like, I know the PS4 has been hacked now. I need to get me a launched PS4, and I'm going to try and see if I can hack it. And I went on the Facebook Marketplace, and this guy was selling one. And he basically, like a long story short, he ripped out the power supply unit, ripped a few other things out from the hard drive, and just stuck a 3-prong cable into the back, and assumed I would fall for it. Which, to be fair, I took it home. I didn't think much of it. I didn't expect that to happen. And I said to him, "Hey, all I want is the parts." Well, check eBay, lol. Within half an hour, I figured out who his dad was, and I had his phone number.
Jesus.
This is what I'm saying when they capture the flag. So you give someone, you give them someone like me is all you need to you believe in yourself and you want to do it. And at that point, it's all bets are off.
Right.
I found that I was able to, like, in a course of like half an hour of fervent autism and frustration at this kid, I figured out who his dad was. I gave him a call. And I could tell, like, through various contexts. And the guy was like, "Yeah, I'll talk to him." I ordered the stuff off Amazon. It comes. my Techomancy levels up because it turns on fine. It works. And then I send more text messages to Dad. My middle finger in the screen and the lights turning on. And I say, "I fully expect your son to reimburse me for the parts." Now, mind you, I didn't expect anything to happen with this. Well, then all of a sudden I get a call. I ignore it, and it calls right back. And he's like, "How did you know? How did you get my dad's?" And I'm just like sitting there like, the tables have gone 180. And I'm like, I'm in no position to tell you. You are no position to ask me that. And furthermore, why'd you tell me that? And like he kept giving excuses. Like he apparently made a new thing. I sent him and said, "Well, it's for parts." So by the end of it, I just texted his dad one last time and I said, "I appreciate your son giving me a call, so that if I really wanted to, I could take him the small claims code. But considering how much hell he's given you, he's not living with you. He's living with his sister. You have your hands full. So I'm not gonna push it any further." But I said it like in a very like pathetic, like standing over pathetic kind of way, like But when I did that, you can imagine how like elated I was that he called back, and it was like a total 180 of you give an autist enough wanting to get something done, they'll figure it out. I mean, look at number 15, Burger King foot lettuce. But to be honest, when I found out how they did that, I was like, okay, that makes sense. But I'm rambling again.
Yeah. So I think I'm probably gonna like end the stream pretty soon. Not right now, but maybe a couple minutes. So we've been going hour and a half now.
Yeah.
I can't remember how long the previous stream was. It was pretty long, wasn't it?
It was, I think.
I don't remember. God, it's been getting old, I tell you.
It was 2019. Let me double check.
Yeah, 2019.
I have it on my playlist of live streams. How long is it? Oh, yeah, it was an hour and 11. We've actually gone longer.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
That's not so bad,
Damn,
then.
son. Oh, that's
What
not bad
stream
at all.
did I do that was super? Oh, was that I think it was the stream I did by myself where I talked about.
Yeah, you did Channel Awesome, and then I'm like, hey, I could get you Liz on, and we had him for the next one.
Yeah, that was my second interview because my first interview I did was with Sheev.
Yeah, Crystal Live. It was May 29th, 2019.
Jeez. Yeah. Okay.
I know.
That was a long time ago.
I was still at my old place, and I still had the computer I trash picked from work. Now
I was still on Curacao, I think. I was still on the island. Jesus.
Yeah, it was something like that. I remember correctly. Now, your fiance, is he still in the country? Like, where did you meet him? I am curious to know more.
Yeah, he's Dutch. He's a native of Curacao. So Curacao is a former Dutch colony that is a part of the Kingdom of the Netherlands. So it's like a state within the United States. So
you're like Sticks. You married a Dutch.
Well, we're not married yet.
Well,
so
I'm sorry. You fell in love with a Dutch. Six Hexenhammer.
Yeah. So basically, I have a full residency and work permit on the island. But then COVID happened and kind of changed around our plans a little bit. because originally that was for me to go there. Now we're thinking it's probably better for him to come here. So for him to come here, though, that there's a lot more that's sort of drawn out and a little bit more complicated to do that because you're dealing with American immigration. So we've submitted the paperwork for, like a K-1 visa. If you've ever seen the show 90 Day Fiance, that's kind of what we're doing. Where we've been together for so long, it's once the government agrees to that temporary visa, they issue it out. We get married within 90 days, and he gets his green card. So
there you go. I know. I hope what's his name? Caleb. I hope he's gonna make it.
Yeah, hope so too.
I don't know. For those uninformed, Caleb IA is a man on down in Venezuela, a great shit poster, big part of Myers Twitter. For those who know.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And he promised his mother on her deathbed that he would get him and his autistic brother out of there.
Yeah.
We've all been rooting, praying for him all this way.
Yeah, no, it's rough down there. Curacao is very close to Venezuela, and you'd see footage occasionally for what was going on. And
wasn't like just across the ocean, like you could actually see it from the
yeah,
coast?
on a clear day you can see Venezuela, and in fact they called it the floating market, which was used to be every morning fishing boats and like small boats from Venezuela would float down or up to Curacao and sell produce, right? But that kind of stopped. I think the one that really stuck out to me the most, two things. So it used to be every single time I went down to Curacao, on the southern side of the island, it was pretty much the horizon had super tanker after super tanker after super tanker full of petroleum leaving Venezuela. Well, that started to get less and less over time. And yeah, the seeing that happen, and then seeing the footage for, like, they showed like a guy driving down a country road in Venezuela, and like in the ditch, you see garbage and trash and things like that. Well, in the ditch, where the garbage and trash was, there were bundles of 100 Bolivar notes, so the equivalent of $100 bills. It was like they were completely worthless because the currency had been so badly degraded that they were less than trash.
I heard
Good
stories.
Lord, that's creepy.
I've heard stories of people getting trash bags, so that people were selling like literal rare pepes to make as a way of like getting money in.
Yeah,
it was ridiculous.
Farming money on RuneScape or World of Warcraft was another one.
Yeah,
I know Philippines have that happen too.
Well, they had so the last time I looked at it, Caracas, the capital of Venezuela, sort of turned into this military hell zone where the government made it illegal for anybody who is not either a member of the government or a member of the socialist militias. You can't own a gun. So the only people that had guns were criminals and, essentially criminals of the government. So you would see footage of like random neighborhood blocks getting shot at with like RPGs. Like, because it was literally a complete anarchy at that point. So it's like, the gun confiscation doesn't actually make anybody safer. It just limits who's in power and who can use it. And if only the criminals have it, they get really crazy. So
almost like we should also be wondering about, the inflation here. It's just transitory, guys. It's just transitory.
So
never you mind.
It's scary. Yeah, it was kind of scary watching all that play out, and I haven't really kept as much of an eye on it, but I can't imagine it's any better right now. So
at least what is it? That one country, wasn't it Costa Rica? Or there was one. No, El Salvador. That's the one.
El Salvador that got that put all the
praise the Lord that they got that set up, because I heard about, like, I was watching videos about how bad it's been, and I just, at least hit their Bolsonaro stayed in power because he got the courts cleaned up.
Well, the thing about like crime down there is that it's not like, oh well, we're just selling dope on the corner. It's no. They have better military equipment than that the military itself has. They literally like hang mutilated bodies from overpasses, and they do horrifically barbaric, monstrous, inhuman acts. Like these are monsters. These are not, like, I understand totally that you want to have compassion for people that are on the wrong side of the law and you don't want to have an abusive legal system. I totally appreciate and understand that, but this is a whole new level. And
it's all it is because they don't like cops. That's all the explanation I can give, is that these people people in America are willfully ignorant about anything, and they see anything like that as evil. Or well, what about the criminals? Like the recurring theme I will say about current year America is there is a substantial epidemic of only thinking of the short term.
Yeah, and people, I think, being naive to a lot of the depravity of human nature, because things are so good in the States.
Yes.
So
yes,
you see more of that in the developing world. So
and we're getting there close. Yeah. I tell you, we're hitting that banana republic. But I am still optimistic about everything. I'm telling you right now, Trump's gonna win. Like, this is going to backfire like every other time, and I'm just gonna sit there and laugh as it all goes down.
Is there anything else you want to kind of touch on before we wrap things up, or?
I think we've got everything done.
Okay.
So, yeah. So I'd like to once again thank Charza and Liz for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's blessed.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, it'd be cool. Maybe next time we can just chat normally.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Yeah, that'd be cool. So thanks everyone. I saw another buddy of mine, Mariner, in there.
I mentioned him earlier. I'm happy that he's at least with power now, and he was actually able to see it.
Oh, good.
Yeah, but he was mentioning it was like not. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm happy he's with his parents now, but it gave me flashbacks to this terrible storm.
I mean, having fled a hurricane, it's being without infrastructure is a nightmare. So I'm glad that you got some of it back. So.
Yeah. Okay.
It was straight a warning. Anyway.
Okay, so I'll see you all next time. I probably am gonna look for other guests I need to get on the show. Hopefully some returns. Hopefully get some people that I haven't gotten on yet.
Well, I'd love to have Carl or Jay Longbone on too, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I need to get I don't know. You guys probably whatever. Yeah, there's a guy I watch who does a podcast, and I don't know if Liz knows this about me, but I'm like a hard metalhead type.
Okay, right on. I had my metal interest as a kid too.
Yeah,
Iron Liz. Yeah, imagine that.
Yeah, but there's a guy who does a metal podcast I try to watch every weekend. He follows me back on Twitter, so
right on.
Is that drummer 828?
No, he's interesting. He's a guy from he's actually from South Africa originally, but he lives in the UK now.
Okay.
So yeah, it'd be cool to talk to him. So
definitely.
Well, I guess this is goodbye. Thank you all for coming.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So right. Have a great weekend and take care. See ya.
Take care.
Yeah.
See you later.